Yeah, please.
Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. I am Priya Ranjan and I'll be your host today. Today we have with us Mr. Ram N. Kumar, founder of Nirog Street, making Ayurveda trusted and mainstream in India. Ram is a serial entrepreneur, having founded multiple ventures over time and has worked for companies such as Mudra Communication and Percept. Hi Ram, welcome to ELI.
Thank you so much, Piranjan. Hope all good with you.
Everything is good. Thank you, Ram. Ram, I would request you to start by introducing yourself to our audience, please.
Hi, so as I told you, my name is Raman Kumar, and I'm founder and CEO of Nirogi Street. Nirogi Street is technology enabled and doctor led ecosystem to bring and make Ayurveda mainstream in India.
Okay. Ram, tell us more about your venture, Nirog Street. What are the different services it provides and what are our target market?
So, see, as you see in a country like India, where healthcare is a big challenge, and when we talk about healthcare challenges, when we talk about anything that you see in our day-to-day life, we always see that people trust Ayurveda, but they do not have same trust in the doctors and the medicines. So what we are doing uh, is that we are bringing back the trust. So we always say the Road Street is a trust-based platform for streamlining the supply chain for Ayurvedic medicine, transforming it into a proper healthcare system by engaging, empowering, and aggregating fragmented Ayurveda doctors and clinics. Uh, India is a country of billions. And when I talk about this, India is a country of billions, it is basically anything that we do needs certain degree of conviction to it. And as we start working on it, you a lot of times you get frightened by just from working in a country like India, it makes you frightening. And the reason to this is that uh, India is a very large country. Anything what we do is it's like solving a continental problem that we have. So what inspired us to do Nirogi Street was the fact that what we are doing is our people are, and this is where we started working on it. We are solving a problem which most Indians face on a day-to-day basis. So everything we do, like doctors face challenge of trust, people face challenge of trust because people do not think which doctor to suggest, no, which doctors to trust and go and take their medicines. Doctor has a problem that even though they are qualified doctors, there are people who practice without any sort of degree. Medicines are another big challenge in a country like India. When I call about this medicine problem, you would recommend that India has large number of medicines which is not very of good quality, and that also impacts quality of healthcare. So Nirogi Street in a nutshell is bringing back the trust. Nirogi Street is working to become trust mark in Ayurveda healthcare system.
Okay, Ram, I'll again ask the question around same lines. What is the problem statement you are solving? You already mentioned the people all trust Ayurveda already. Then what is it you are solving?
So as I told you, people trust Ayurveda. They don't trust the doctors and the medicines. This is the trust we are solving. We want doctors who are qualified to come at the forefront. We want access of those quality doctors to the people. So that's how, and So we want people to get quality doctors. We want people to get quality medicines. And this can only happen if the supply is digitized. What we are making is we are digitizing the supply side of Ayurveda.
Okay, fair enough. Ram, my question to you: when did you think of uh, when did you think of getting into Ayurveda? This is what is your background in Ayurveda, and how did you come up with an idea like this?
So Ayurveda actually saved my life. I had my own healthcare challenges. I was suffering from hepatitis C and going through hormones in treatment. I reached to a point when I was surviving on drugs. So the doctor who was treating me recommended me to Ayurveda. And that is where my journey to Ayurveda started. So it took me almost 6 months to start responding to treatment, and it took me almost 3 years to get fully cured. So, in fact, I'm talking to you because of Ayurveda. So, it was always something that was close to me. And so, while when I was on what I call is a kind of deathbed or something you will love to call about, I realized the problem the sector is facing. This is the time actually you see what better could be done. I I was into technology, I was into advertising. I realized what could change the face of this system. And that was the time I started learning about it. I started working on it. I started to connect the dots. And that was the time my utmost conviction was what this sector lacks is trust. A system which has survived for thousands of years, which has been helping people for eternity. There is a reason for it. And that's where I wanted to dedicate my life to this system.
Okay, Ram, here is my question to you. People uh, as per your words and also what I feel is people in general trust the conventional form of medicine, that is the allopathic medicine, more uh, compared to Ayurveda. But when you look to the history, Ayurveda has been around for a long time. Allopathy is a very recent science or recent field of healthcare. How come people have lost faith in Ayurveda and have switched their approach towards allopathic medicine? And what has triggered this? Can you give us some a background of history, maybe to set the context?
I don't see a fight. I don't see it as a fight between Ayurveda and allopathy. I always believe in coexistence, and all the medicine systems have their own positives and have their own negatives. So, same way, Ayurveda has its own positive and has its own negative. So, wherever you have got chronic system, wherever you have got anything which takes longer, longer duration, Ayurveda has been proving to be good. And chronic, what we have seen in last 3 decades is that people, people's perception of Ayurveda has changed. How modern medicine came to the forefront is because of people, a lot of people were dying from various pandemics. Like we have Corona now, and it has actually played a level playing field. No medicine system in particular has been able to solve this. And I always see Corona as a best example of collaborative healthcare where all the systems, be it Ayurveda, homeopathy, allopathy, are working together to solve this problem. So the trust problem came from, of course, the quality medicines. Then also came from the fact doctors, anyone was prescribing. Then initially, as I told, if I can give you a small anecdote, a lot of people were dying from various pandemics, be it cholera, be it any other thing that was going through the world. So of course, to solve those problems, modern medicine, modern science came to the rescue. The good thing is modern science also over time adopted the good part of the traditional medicine, Ayurveda. So as the income levels and everything started to rise, it also gave birth to various lifestyle problems. You see, diabetes. So various chronic problems are one of the major factors, and they are creating the comorbidity issues in the people. So the revamped popularity of Ayurveda is also because of that. Because more and more people are looking to go for natural medicine. They do not want to go for anything else because natural medicine works better with your body because it's just like your body. So then and there you will see that trust factor is working. So trust, of course, has come back. The market is growing significantly, and I see all the systems are coexisting side by side.
Okay. Speaking of COVID, I have come with a very interesting question. Uh, because COVID has shown people that allopathy medicine doesn't have an answer to the ongoing pandemic, and people have lost faith in people have changed the way they look at medicine. They are looking at medicine at, as there are multiple ways to approach this. There is allopathy, homeopathy, and Ayurveda, and there are other forms of medicine as well, yoga and all. So as a healthcare practitioner, not as a doctor, but rather a enabler of healthcare, where do you see the healthcare industry going forward in coming days, maybe in next 10 years time or 20 years time?
See, so in next 10 years time, so as I said, Ayurveda was always individualistic, like giving medicine to individual based on their body structure. What you call is prakriti, vata, pitta, kapha. So this is going to be like that. Even in modern medicine, a lot of people are talking about medicine based on individuals' own body structure and what they would want. So what I see is in the next 10 years, all the medicine systems will get integrated. They will talk to each other. In certain conditions, one medicine system will work. In other conditions, something else will work. So there will not be a division per se. That this is system X, this is system Y, and this is one thing that I see. And COVID has, of course, become brought an equilibrium in healthcare system. As I told you, no system in the world has a definite answer to it. However, India has actually shown a path to the world, and Ayurveda has played a very, very important role. As you see, more and more people are recovering. A lot of people are not catching it. So Ayurveda medicines are part of mainstream treatment systems in various hospitals. So as you see, people from Kadha to Sansmari Bhatti to various Chavanpras, yoga, all these have become part of our lives. So the people who did not recognize what our traditional medicine stood for, because it has stood the test of time. And something which has stood test of time is always gold. So I see a great future for Ayurveda and all other traditional medicine systems all over the world, not just in India.
Okay, you have enlightened me and our audience as well. Ram, here is another question around that. Can you advise our entrepreneurs or maybe future entrepreneurs to, where they can explore some of the different areas in Ayurveda or healthcare, which can be explored as a path of entrepreneurship or maybe they can make a venture out of it? Which are such areas that nobody is working on?
See, my thing is clear. Um, don't just be an entrepreneur, solve a problem. If we solve a problem, then we don't have to think about what we are doing. So let us find the problem statement and then start working with it. Everything will fall in line. So everything that I or maybe I did was to solve a real problem. The real problem was trust. It's still the trust. I'm solving the problem of trust. I'm bridging that gap. So find one problem which will change the way you think and will change the way probably the system or any category you are going to work. Ayurveda is huge. It needs a lot more people to work. It is one of the fastest growing segments in India. So what I would recommend is if you work here, digitizing is one opportunity. Medicine standardization is another opportunity. Manufacturing is a big thing because demand is skyrocketing. So they can get into manufacturing, they can get into research, anything. There are a lot that they can do.
Okay.
But have a focus, have a goal. Simple.
Okay. Coming back to my regular questions, tell us how it all started. What was the first day? What are the things you did in your first day of entrepreneurship while building Nirog Street, and how did you get started?
Well, so I was running a technology firm before that. Which was pretty successful. But my idea of entrepreneurship that time was let us not go in two boats. Let's do only one thing. So I exited the tech firm and then started the journey of Nirogi Street. So of course it was first it started a bootstrap. Um, started building community because I have always been a big believer of community. Let us talk, let us meet, let us see how can I solve the problem. Uh, I don't think anyone can solve the problem on their own. They need to learn from the people who are going to use your services or products. So we started with them. So journey of Nirog Street was started in 2016 and it is approximately 4 years.
Okay. But when you say you cannot do it alone, I strongly believe that you need to have co-founders to build something. Do you have co-founders as well? If you have, then how did you find them?
Well, so I have a co-founder. I started as a single founder company, but in the journey, I found two amazing people who also became my co-founders.
Okay.
And they were working with us. I got to know. We were engaging notes, and so we knew each other for long. But of course, having a co-founder is very important part of a startup. I'm not saying that single co-founder do not work. Model do not work. They work perfectly well. There are many successful companies with single founder. So it actually doesn't matter if it is a single founder or multiple founder company. It's all about idea and how we execute it. So someone could be a founding team member, someone could be co-founder. It depends.
Okay. Apart from founders and co-founders, you would have recruited multiple people along the way who will form your core team and take your vision forward. How did you recruit them? What is the typical process you make someone go through to join your company or get associated with you?
So our idea is clear. Uh, if someone has the fire and the hunger, they will certainly understand and they will perform. So what we have built our organization is a performance driven company. And so nobody has to tell what needs to be done. And so if they don't do something for say for example 6 months, they will themselves feel they're left out. And so there is no option but to perform. And that is where I see that building a performance-led culture makes everything, everything work. You don't need to put any more effort.
And how do you do that? How do you motivate people to perform to their best? How do you make sure that everybody is following the same vision?
Well, vision is clear that we are bringing the trust. There is nothing no one can create. Find your own ways. Maybe so people have everyone has their own ideas of reaching the singular vision. So, and of course, some of them become part of leadership because they also drive things to the perspective. I always think that entrepreneurs make very good people. So Nirogi Street is built of entrepreneurs. So of 100 plus people that we are today, I'm happy to tell you almost 20% people have previous entrepreneurial experience. They try to learn something or other over time. So in fact, as a policy, we prefer people who try to do something on their own in the past. This is the primary criteria that we have for our mid and senior leadership team that we have built.
Okay. Ram, here is my question to you. This is a scenario-based question. When you recruit your core team, the first 10 or 15 people who head your different departments like marketing, finance, operation, and all, they are your core team. They build the first basic set of customers or basic set of processes. They take your company to the next level. And when your company becomes a big company for like Oyo or any other unicorns that have been built over time, uh, these people may not be suitable to run such a big organization over time. For example, you have recruited someone with 2 years or 3 years experience into marketing, and he has become your marketing head, and your company becomes a thousand people company or 10,000 people company. So at such a huge scale, the person may not be qualified enough to become the same marketing head or finance head or chief marketing officer. So what is your idea on that? Do you expect the people to grow at the same rate as the organization, or as the organization grows, you bring more qualified people on board?
See, qualified people will continue to come. We cannot stop that. Growth is the ultimate thing that we want. So what we have done is that all the people that we have who were our early recruits, we are actually giving them access to reskill themselves, go for studies, learn, and we are actually helping them in becoming better leaders. So though we get external leaders as well, because we continue to get that, so we keep them aligned. We actually give them one singular opportunity which will make their career as well. So it is not like that. If someone senior has come, probably the old people will have to go mandatorily go out of the system, and we also make sure that they do not feel left out. This is a very important part of our life cycle. So we want to keep them engaged. We want to grow. Of course, we cannot say, hey, you do not grow. It cannot happen. But yes, we help them. As an organization, it's a policy that we have been helping them.
Mm.
So we have almost negligible attrition at our organization.
Okay. Ram, have you ever raised funds from?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that.
Tell us some of the funny stories or while raising funds. Also, if you can share a few things you have learned while uh, raising funds.
एक सबसे important था. So I met when I was just building the company. So I met an investor. He said, "I'll give you um, some money. I'll not quote the money, and give me 51% of the company. I told him, give me some more, give me, equally that amount to me as well, and take 100% of the company. So it happens, it depends on the scale, depends on the time you are working. So everyone has those stories, but yeah, let us keep it for some other time.
What are few things you have learned along the way while raising funds?
Be resilient, and survival is more important than anything else. If you survive, then only you will raise money or do anything else. So survival is more important than anything else. And other part of that is uh, raise money from people who are aligned with your vision. If someone is not aligned to your vision, the vision will anyway die.
Okay. What are some of the interesting lessons you have learned as an entrepreneur?
Well, I have become a better person. I have become a disciplined person to that extent. I have become more accommodating. I have become I learn every day. So everything is learning. Everything every day is exciting. That's what I have learned over time. Let us make it exciting.
Okay. Uh, perhaps my last question to you. How would you suggest our fellow audience to start their journey as entrepreneurs?
Just start. Nothing else. Just think over it. Don't think much. Just start it. If you believe in something, then start it. But don't start just because someone else is starting that.
Okay. Uh, do you have a mentor or any person you follow in the entrepreneurship world?
Yeah, there are many people who come to your life and they become a part, they start helping you, they start guiding you, because as I told you, entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and you have to remain strong. So it is not built by just one people. There are many people who come. I always say some people come as a friend, some people just come as a God gifted. You just meet people by coincidence and they become your friends, the mentor, and everything. It's all about chemistry that is developed with people. So yes, mentors becomes a very important part of your startup journey, but you find them over time based on what they can contribute to your life. And this two way, you also have to contribute something to your mentor. It's not the one way path.
Okay, Ram, tell us what are the challenges you have faced along the way while building this venture?
Well, everything is a challenge. Building a technology is a challenge. Getting first few people to experience your product is a challenge. Building supply chain is a challenge. Hiring is the biggest challenge. Getting good people is the probably most important thing that I see, and it is all about people at the end. People. So we need people. So if you ask me about the biggest challenge that everyone faces is hiring.
Okay. This is my last question to you before we end. Give us a final message to potential entrepreneurs of the country.
Well, we are building a better country, and our efforts are going to make India a world leader. So it is important that we start. Everyone needs to do something. So what you do as an entrepreneur is actually a process of nation building.
Okay. On that note, It's a really well said message. On that note, I would close this session, and it was a great pleasure to have you here at TLI. I think our audience would have got lifetime lessons from this video. Thanks, Ram, and our best wishes for Nirog Street.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Viewers, you can follow and connect with Ram on LinkedIn by typing Ram N. Kumar. Also, do visit their website, nirogstreet.com. That is it for today's episode. We will be back with another exciting Indian entrepreneur. Stay tuned to ELI.